Okay. Good evening. I want to say welcome to everyone who showed up today at this Committee on Public Works. I want to say welcome to Lee Simpson from Planning and Craig Hutman from DPW Engineering and to Wendy Nelson and to my colleagues, Councilwoman Helen Anthony and Councilwoman Shirley. Welcome. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman Vargas,
Present.
Vice Chairman Sanchez. Councilman Espinal.
Present.
Councilor Royas.
Present.
Councilwoman Vargas. We have 5 present.
Today is Thursday, September 26th, and we're going to start at 5:45. I'm sorry for the delay because of the weather. Madam Clerk, can you please read number 1?
Yes. Petition from Thomas Morgan dated May 18, 2023, requesting to abandon a portion of Bentley Lane located on Assessors Plat 75, lots 35 and 284 between 38 Collier Street and 36 Collier Street.
Okay, we don't have no proponents, and we have opponents to this number 1 item. I want to start calling the names, and because of all the people who took the time to be here, I will give you 2 minutes to explain and all your concerns. First person will be Adelise Rodriguez. Can you please come forward and testify? Please say your name and your address for the record.
Just press the thing. Can you put it on for them? Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Adelise Rodriguez and Thomas Morgan. We are here to discuss the possibility of obtaining what is known as Bentley Lane, a paper street that has not been maintained or used in years. Bentley Lane has been neglected for a long time, as shown by historical records and pictures. When we moved into our home, the area was filled with debris, including broken glass bottles, needles, and cinder blocks. We cleaned it up ourselves and make the area safe for our community. Unfortunately, it still attracts unsafe activities, including illicit drug use. Our goal is to purchase and maintain the portion of Bentley Lane adjacent to our property. This will relieve the city of maintenance obligations and improve neighborhood safety by ensuring the area is properly managed. We are not interested in purchasing the side of Concord Street, as we know there are other neighbors interested in that side. Collier Street is a dead-end street, and there is a playground directly in front of our home. Many children live in our street and use the playground, which the city does maintain and keep up. However, there was a homeless campground behind the playground, and they used Bentley Lane to come and go. And this is why we think that securing this area is so important. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Do you like to say something too, sir?
No, she covered everything. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
you. Second name will be Thomas Moisegan? Oh, that's you. Okay, thank you. Next one will be Eric Sweeney. Eric?
Hello, I believe I signed my name on the wrong form. I'm with the Friends of Adrian Hall group. So.
Okay, not a problem.
Okay.
Cross the line. Will Cornell? Mr. Will? Will is also, okay. Renee Conlon? 50 Concord Street, Providence. Oh, I missed, okay. Renee Conlon. Renee. Yeah. Please say your name and your address for the record.
Renee Conlon, 50 Concord Street, Providence, Rhode Island. Okay, and I'm here going against the petition for Bentley Lane to be divided up and not remaining Bentley Lane. We purchased our house back in 1991, and we've been, you know, our kids have gone through the Providence school system, and we've lived on this street for now 31 years. Bentley Lane makes an easy access for all the kids on Concord Street to get to the park. That's how we get to the park. Come back, we don't have to go down to the main street, you know, Frost, which is cars coming off the exit of 95. And you can have a 10 or 15 mile an hour speed limit, but it's not being obeyed. These cars are flying down here, they're flying down Concord Street, and I don't want my child out there on the edge of that road. So I'm just saying that we've been there for a long time. Bentley Lane's been there for a long time. It's probably got some historical value to it. We're all part of one of the farms there that came up. So anyway, I'm against it. I just wanted to let my voice be heard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
William Conlon? Please say your name.
William Conlon, right?
Yes.
73, and I don't hear much. But I'm for Bentley Lane, that's what we're here for. Right? What are you saying? Oh, thank you. Sorry. No. Is this okay? All right. Sorry about that. But, you know, I've been there for 30 years. And I'm not talking well right now because I had an accident on my street that I wanted to actually talk to these people about, but not now. But I can't talk that much anymore. I went down on my bike. I have no idea. But I took all my kids there. I have 2 of my own children plus a third from someone else, and whenever they were there, that's how we got to the park, as we went down Bentley Lane. And now my grandchildren cross with me. Because it's dangerous, you'd have to go out to the main road where people are getting off the highway and heading for the, see, it's another thing, my brain's not working. It's the place where you can get on those big machines and go somewhere. There's a big place down there. You can get on the city, you know, has things that go there, and people get rides around the city. See, I can't think of the words. But there's a lot of people walking there, and there's a lot of traffic on the main road, so it's dangerous. And there's a lot of kids out there on that street during the day. And a lot of cars pull up, and now there's no place for the cars to turn around except for with the kids that are on the street. And it's just a matter of time before someone gets run over. And this man just started blocking things, figuring he could, because he's got the new place that was built there. That was always just an open place where people just parked their junk. And a lot of times people pulled up and parked there that nobody wanted there, and we'd call the police, and they'd get rid of them in a few minutes. But this guy just kind of blocked things up, and now no one can get across. He's out scaring people, saying he'll stop you. And it just seems terrible to me that this is happening. I mean, there's little things like Bentley Lane all around the city, and the city just keeps cleaning them because that's what people want. You know, when they get covered in snow or covered in crap, they're cleaned, and they're not able to do that now. So I just hope for help from the city and, like, you know, stop this thing from being blocked off. Bentley Lane is part of history. You know, it's been there since the farm. And Bentley Lane, there's a place right on the Bentley Lane that people delivered things from that little hole in the ground down there where the kids pulled up things up and got all over the cities. You know, we were delivered things there. So there's history there. All you have to do is look at it. But you know, I guess it's not up to me, so that's all I have to say.
All right.
It would be nice if it stays there.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. James Hatt, Betty?
I live on 52 Concord Street, which is right along the Bentley Way. And since I've lived there, you know, it really has been a throughway to the park. And now the park is actually more busy with events, with softball and football and so forth. And it's severely congested on that street that it empties onto from Concord. And this would, if it were even open more or you know, at least saw some further care, it would help with the parking so they could utilize Concord Street. Also, I own the barn, the house and the barn on the property. The barn is a concrete barn that I believe has historical significance. I believe it was a storage barn for the throughway, the water throughway on the other side of the park back in the 17th century and so forth. I think it should be left open, and if there were ever, God forbid, an emergency on that dead-end street, that always provided a freeway for an ambulance to get down there. And I know there's actually been some calls reported, even as early as the beginning of this summer, where that was a problem, and the police took notice of this. And also, it's very hard that somebody comes into our neighborhood all of a sudden, buys a house, and then without any permission whatsoever, builds on city property. And today, still today, his fence stands right in the middle of that, what was an open path for the public, and has been, in my eyes, rude to many people in the neighborhood when he did it. I really think that this should be left open for the public use and should not be abandoned by the city of Providence.
Thank you very much for your time. Okay, is anybody has a question for our colleague? Yes, Councilman. Sang. From somebody from planning, thank you.
At this time, no confirmation.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee members? No. So there's no further people who signed the paper. We will close this public hearing for number 1, and now we're going to pass on number 2. There's no decision making today. It's only a public hearing. So, Madam Clerk, can you please read number 2?
There's petition from Anthony J. Bucci Jr., Esquire, 155 South Main Street, Suite 405, Providence, Rhode Island, 02903, requesting to abandon a portion of Ernest Street.
Thank you. Do we have the one person, the proponent? Can I have Anthony Bucci, please? Please say your name and your address, please.
Yes, good morning, Councilman. My name is Anthony J. Bucci Jr. I'm here on behalf of the Narragansett Bay Commission. We're requesting that a portion of Ernest Street be abandoned because it's no longer useful to the public. A year ago, Narragansett Bay Commission acquired Mars Scaffolding, which was across the street from our building, the main building. Once we did that, Ernest Street is no longer useful to the public because Ernest Street feeds into Service Road, which is a private road owned by Narragansett Bay Commission, so there's no through traffic anyway. So we would ask that we be allowed to abandon the street so that we can, sort of secure our campus and put gates up to keep traffic out.
So the idea is for them to get this piece of the street, and they will gate it out, put a gate on the entrance, or they will keep it open for the
We
traffic?
We would put a gate up from Shipyard through the back portion of Ernest Street.
And who owns the little building on the left?
The Narragansett Bay Commission owns both parcels to the left and to the right of the portion of the street that we want abandoned.
Okay. Any question from the committee members? None? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any new people who came and they haven't signed up the sign-in sheet or put your name on it? Please come forward and sign on the table. Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please read number 3?
Petition from Andrew Tights, Esquire, AICP, Orsillo Tights and Rich, LTD, 2 William Street, Providence, 02903, requesting to abandon a portion of Richmond Street and Elm Street.
Do we have John Stanza? Can you please say your name and
Yes, I'm Andrew Tights, attorney with offices at 2 William Street in Providence, representing Brown University. I think the first person on the list is actually going to be the second one behind me. If I can just give you the introduction as the petitioner.
Sure.
And I'm just going to actually ask John just to put up we have one board here. I think you've got it in your materials, but this is in color just in case there's any questions. We're asking, Brown University is requesting the abandonment of sections of Richmond Street, and this is 2 blocks between Ship Street and South Street, and a section of Elm Street, which is also 2 blocks between Chestnut Street and Eddy Street. All of this property is, on both sides of this abandoned area, is owned by Brown University, as well as quite a lot of the other property in the area. Not all of it. There are private property owners, condominiums, et cetera. But most of the surrounding area is Brown, and all of the surrounding area from the proposed abandonment. And the main goal of this is to facilitate the construction of what's called the Integrated Life Science Building. It's a $300 million building which is going to be used for brain science research, health research. And it's important that it's in that place because it connects to the Warren Alpert Medical School on one side and another existing Brown University laboratory and what we once upon a time called the Spidell Building on the other side. And it creates that, if you will, critical mass that the city is seeking in what the city calls the Knowledge District, or called the Knowledge District. We're putting that all together. And having this abandonment will help facilitate those aims. This was also something that was agreed to in principle by memorandum of agreement with the city a couple of years ago, and actually the city council approved that memorandum of agreement. You have a copy of that. I don't know if you have any other questions of me. Mr. John Staubach, the engineer, is here and can just describe the area, or if not, if you have questions of him. And Albert Dahlberg from Brown University is here if you have any questions about the memorandum of agreement or memorandum of understanding, either one of those. We're happy to discuss that.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee members, please?
Question.
Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I'm not sure if you've seen the reports back from city departments, but I think the Providence Police Department had some concerns or reservations regarding emergency vehicle access. Have you guys addressed those with the administration, or have you guys, is there any updates on that specific concern?
I think I'll let Mr. Staubach talk about that. We have had lots of comments from the different agencies, and also including the Public Works about we're actually going to be responsible for some catch basins, which are technically outside of the abandonment area, but we're agreeing to be responsible for maintaining them. But I'll let him identify himself and answer your question specifically with, I think, the traffic issues that the police department may have raised.
Good evening. My name is John Staubach. I'm a civil engineer with VHB. And I have not seen that memo from the police department. However, all of the roadways involved in the abandonment would maintain 20-foot wide access for emergency vehicles as required by NFPA. And any alterations that are made to the roadway geometry and access to it would be coordinated with and reviewed with DPW at such time that those alterations are contemplated.
You referenced something about 20 feet being required by, and you mentioned an acronym there. And could you just tell them what that is, so for the record, NFPA?
National Fire Protection Association. It's the guidelines that dictate where fire hydrants are located, how fire department access is provided, how emergency access is provided to buildings and facilities.
I got a question. These streets, they going to be open? They're going to be open anyway, or the Brown University is planning to put a gate on it?
The details are not set, but essentially there won't be a gate. In fact, one of the major elements of this new integrated life science building is an open area, which is also going to include a room which will be available for community meetings, and there is a large garden there. All that stuff will be open to the public as well as walking through the streets. Some of the streets, particularly Richmond Street, part of it may be closed and basically pedestrian access only. It's not going to be gated off, you can't get there, but there will be probably some traffic restriction there. And over on the Chestnut side with loading, there's an area, there's an off-street loading dock. The loading isn't happening on the street, but with trucks turning in and out of that area, it will be restricted slightly as far as, people won't be able to park there. So there will be restrictions, but no fence and gate like that to completely surround it.
The other question I have is about the parking issues. When you sign the contract, you're talking about for, I think it's 20 years, and now you're asking for another 20 years. And who's getting the revenue of these parking tickets out of this block that you're looking for?
There really isn't going to be much in the way of parking on these streets. It's not like that they're going to become parking lots with a whole batch of angled spaces and whatnot. The parking, there already is, there's the large garage next to 222 Richmond Street. There's the new parking garage that Brown University built next to the power station property. So there's already parking in the area. The purpose of this is not to provide parking spaces. It's to provide access for the infrastructure, get the steam pipes in, all the infrastructure that needs to go in, and also to deal with the landscaping, and to make it part of a harmonious use, as I said. So, for example, on one side, it's not before this committee tonight, but it is on the committee's agenda pending, is a request for air rights to build a bridge across Chestnut Street to connect those two buildings. We don't anticipate that over any sort of thing like that over Richmond Street, but we still want to have a free flow there with pedestrians, that people will be able to treat this as one educational complex and easily move across from the medical school to this building. So that's the main purpose, not to provide parking spaces. Any parking there will be for, staff people. It will be incidental to the overall purpose.
Any other questions? Yes, Councilwoman Shirley, please.
I'll be a little bit bit easier for me. Thank you, sorry about that. I actually have a question with regards to the original question that Vice Chair asked with regards to the concern that the Providence Police Department had, where as a result of it being a public thoroughfare, our public safety response would be limited, or there would be a question as to our public safety response. So would you be able to elaborate a little bit on that part?
Sure. Yeah, the intent when this is abandoned is that these streets will remain open. The one alteration that is proposed is that Richmond Street between Elm Street and Ship Street, this section that you see here, would convert from two-way street to one-way northbound. And that would be the one change that would occur. There would be no limitations on emergency vehicles. They would have full access to use these streets, as well as the police department.
Any other questions? Yes, Councilman.
Thank you. Just following up on that. So this road is gonna, your guys' intention is to keep it as a public road? Or
It would not be a public road, but it would be open to the public. It would be Brown University property.
So you guys would maintain it, plow, et cetera?
Correct.
Thank you. Just because I thought from when we were talking about the MOU, I think it is, Brown's idea was to close like some of these roads and be like more like pedestrian, like walkways. So I'm just trying to kind of loop everything together.
That is a possibility in the future. However, right at this time, we conducted a traffic study, and there was approximately 300 vehicles that traveled northbound on Richmond Street in the morning peak hour. And without improvements to other streets in the surrounding area, that access needs to stay in place. So the plan, the immediate plan when this is abandoned, is that northbound access would remain to accommodate that 300 vehicle per day, 300 vehicle during the peak hour in the morning for people to get to work.
Thank you.
And let me, if I may, just add that, if we do have further plans to close anything, it will be done as it had been done, with a traffic study and within consultation with the Department of Public Works and the public safety things. And as I said, even if it were to become all pedestrian, it would still be open as far as for people to access, even though it's privately maintained.
Any other question? Thank you.
Thank you. And did you have any questions further about the MOA or the MOU?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have. Okay. So, City Sergeant, can you please bring the next item? Yes. Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, can you please read number 4?
Petition from Foundation for Repertory Theater of Rhode Island, 60 Adrian Hall Way, Providence 02903, requesting to abandon a portion of Adrian Hall Way located on Assessors Plat 25, Lot 186, 60 Adrian Hall Way, Assessors Plat 25, Lot 197, aka Adrian Hall Skate Park.
Thank you. We have an opposition package here, will be Exhibit A to this particular item. Motion to take, no motion, oh no, it's not a motion, sorry. Please put into the record. Thank you. We're going to read the proponents first, and we're going to start with the petitioner will be John McCoy. Can you please say your name and...
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I am John McCoy, 40 Westminster Street. I am the attorney for the petitioners, Trinity Repertory Company. Just a few brief items, and I've got a couple of people with me who are also on the list. This abandonment request is for a portion of Adrian Hall Way. It got its unanimous positive recommendation from the CPC on May 21st. It's here tonight before you, this board, only on the abandonment portion itself. Neither the easement portion nor the existing skate park design is before this tonight. It was only advertised for the abandonment portion, so I think that's important to keep a note. One minor housekeeping item. Since the CPC approval, these plans were subject to review by several other agencies and stakeholders, including Historic District, National Park Service. As a result of that, resulted in approximately a 1 square foot modification to the size of the abandonment. So all this is going to do, this adjustment's on the building side, it's away from the park area, so it just simply increases the abandonment portion by 1 square feet and reduces the easement portion by 1 square foot. So that housekeeping detail, we've got Mr. Hingarady here tonight. He's got the modification of plans, so as we move forward, what I would ask is that you approve the amendment to what was approved by the CPC for the 1 square foot, and then move forward with the petition itself on the amended basis. So that housekeeping item, I just wanted to get in there as well. Katie Lieberman is here tonight, the executive director of Trinity Repertory Company, can give a little background, and Neil Hingarady is also here to discuss any question you have regarding the plans. Ann DeSilva is also here as the senior project manager for Paragon Group. So I didn't want to take too much of your time, but I want to at least get that housekeeping matter in. And just remember, we're just here for the abandonment portion tonight, not the easement, as that is what was advertised.
Thank you. And your name?
Hi, I'm Kate Liberman. I am the executive director at Trinity Rep. Thank you for having me here tonight. I wanted to just offer a little bit of an explanation of why we're here with the petition. A number of you have been to Trinity Rep before. I'm grateful that I got to show some of you around in our spaces. As you might know, the building that we inhabit is 107 years old, and unfortunately the elevator that is inside the building is from the early 90s. That elevator does not reach every story of our 5-story building. In 2017, Trinity Rep began a full facilities master plan to determine what we needed to be able to stay downtown and to stay in this historic jewel of Providence. And the primary need that we determined was to have a new elevator and interconnected spaces on the top floor so that the building could be accessible for all of our staff, our artists, and the hundreds of thousands of people who come through the building every year. Over the past 7 years, we have gone through multiple phases of design, from concept to design development to construction design, and we have also engaged multiple stakeholders throughout the process to make sure that we were doing what was necessary to improve the building for our audiences and our artists today. Today's request is an abandonment of a portion of Adrian Hall Way, only 2,789 square feet of the sidewalk that abuts the building, specifically to allow for that new elevator, the machine room that goes with it, and the adjoining hallways to ensure that the spaces on our top floors can be connected for that accessible requirement. This will have no impact on the square footage of the skate park that is our neighbor across the way from Adrian Hall Way. It does not change the square footage or design of the park. We have been in great conversation with City Parks, with my friend Wendy Nielsen, the superintendent of parks, to consider what a design of the street would look like after an abandonment of the sidewalk and how we could make that space open and available to other visitors to downtown. That's not what we're asking you to vote on today, or to consider today, but only for the abandonment up to the sidewalk that does not have impact on the park or its ultimate design. I do want to acknowledge that there have been shifts and changes in the design as we have gone through these reviews over the last 7 years. John mentioned some of that 1 square foot of change. This is all due to the many different stakeholders that we are required to include in the review, including all of you here. We have code requirements as relates to ADA, but also relates to fire safety as a public venue, and relates to egress and access, as well as the utilities that are underground, water, sewage, and electrical, which are all underneath the sidewalk and Adrian Hallway. We have had to engage with 3 different historic stakeholders, including the State Historic Preservation Office, who've required some of the changes we've made, the National Park Service, who hold the historic easement on the building because we are on the National Historic Register, and the Historic Commission. We, as you heard, have been working with the Parks Department to consider the needs of the users of the skate park, as well as other folks who we hope will use the space ultimately as a place to recreate downtown, in addition to the skaters who will have more space on the other side of the abandonment. Lastly, I just want to acknowledge that we are eager to be good collaborators and to be working with the city, with parks, with users of the skate park, as well as all of our neighbors downtown. We work with the brew house next door and the parking lot to make sure that this space is usable and welcoming to everyone. We had a meeting in July with the skaters and with the Parks Department and with a city councilor to think about next steps and to propose potential adjustments. Because of that meeting, we moved and altered some of the proposed design for the park, including moving some proposed manholes out of the way, and opened up space to ensure the most length for a run for a skateboard. We continue to be open for those discussions, and tonight we're just here to request the abandonment of those square feet. Thank you.
Justin Rusilo? Who's Justin Rusilo? Okay, all right, thank you very much. Before I call Justin, these are the proponents.
Yes.
Okay. All right, can I have Justin? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No question? Cheers.
Any question? I'm sorry, yes, we have a question. I'm so sorry.
This question is for the executive director. Thank you very much for being here. Actually, 2 questions on what you had spoken about just now. You said as part of your strategic plan to stay in Providence, this was a situation that you would like to have us support. Has there been conversation of you leaving Providence?
In 2017, when we did the full facilities master plan, I can just explain, being stewards of a historic building, it's very expensive for maintenance and upkeep, and so there was some brief discussion about not necessarily leaving Providence, but leaving the building and starting new and building a whole new facility. Ultimately, we decided to double down on the facility that we have that we feel has become iconic and representative of who we are, but we had to make that facility accessible and workable for our audiences today, which is why we're here.
Thank you. Can I have a quick follow-up? Thank
Please,
you.
please do.
As part of your design plans, and I understand that this isn't what we're discussing today, but it is part of the continued conversation around the space, is it correct, please correct me if I'm wrong, is it accurate that part of the existing space or the changes that you'd like to make include an outdoor dining area that would abut or take away some of the skate area that we're discussing?
Thank you for asking, Councilwoman. That is actually incorrect, so thank you for asking. We are not interested at Trinity Rep in opening a restaurant. The theater business is risky enough for us. We do manage our own concessions in the theater, so at intermission you can get a coffee or a drink, but there will be no restaurant, no dining. In our conversations with parks, we have talked about seating available as might be in other city park areas, but that would all be a part of the park design and up to parks and the landscape architect. It is not a part of Trinity Rep's intent.
Any other question? Councilwoman Helen Anthony?
Is that good? Oh, great, thank you. Thank you so much, Katie, for the presentation. I just want to be clear on what you're asking, what area you're asking to be abandoned. Up to the sidewalk or across the whole street? If you could show us on that.
Absolutely. I'm going to step away from the microphone to point.
Yes, fine.
So what Neil, if you want to turn, so can you see?
Yep.
This gray area is the current. Sidewalk on the other side of the street. Oh, thank you.
Okay. And just so everyone can see, do you mind
You can
repeating
turn
that?
around.
Do you mind, Mr. Chair?
I can
it's
repeat
hard.
again.
Go ahead. No problem.
This is Trinity Rep. This is the current skate park. This area is where currently the street that is Adrian Hallway and the two sidewalks on each side are connected. Our request tonight is only for an abandonment of the area in this dark gray beige, which is 2,789 square feet, and it only goes until the sidewalk. The remainder of the area that is hashed out in blue and in green is the current sidewalk and alleyway area that is not on the request for this evening.
Thank you so much. And may I ask one follow-up question, Mr. Chair?
Please do.
Okay, thank you. I am looking at our packet, and what is it a wall that's running through the park? Can you explain what that is?
Yes, I think that may just be a proposed parks feature. For what we're speaking about tonight, it's really not relevant and can basically be ignored.
May I just speak for a minute, Mr. Chair? I know we're talking about relevance, but I think may I just speak for a second?
Please do.
When this matter came before Finance Committee, when we were talking about allocating the funds for this, the issue that arose was redirecting some funds in the CIP from other park projects to this particular project. And so we discussed this and agreed that this would be presented, but that it was our understanding that we as a council would be able to, we asked that there be an agreement between the skateboard park and Trinity Rep. So I think the elements of the proposed park are relevant, in my opinion, to this decision tonight. So I think it's very important that we understand how the Parks Department and how the proponent is proposing that the two entities coexist in this space. So that is why I think it's important that at some point someone present on what the overall combination is.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilwoman Vargas?
The very important in here right now, when the Trinity invited to us to see the projects, I went there and it's really needed because the elevators, because the way is that I think all the people can go over there, the elevator existed right now is very not quite to do what we need to do for the time that we have right now, the century. So the way she explained to me when I went there is excellent idea to get the people more comfortable to go through different way, or the acting can go to different way down and forward because we have two levels over there. It's very dangerous when you push the elevator that existed right now. It's not right. So that's my opinion, because when I went there, she showed me what's the way it's supposed to be, and the way it can be better for the people that are working over there. That's how I understand. That's only my question.
Councilman Sanchez?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you so much, folks. First question, just to confirm, you might have mentioned it before, Katie. On the current existing building, there's no possibility of putting a new elevator in your current infrastructure?
We currently have an elevator, and if you actually look on the side of the building, if you're standing along Adrian Hallway, you can see a little sort of thing that sticks out that is the current elevator. You can also see where it stops and doesn't keep going. That elevator, as I mentioned, is from the 90s, and so an elevator that is to code in 2024 is actually almost double the square feet of an elevator of our current elevator. It has to allow for a stretcher to open up fully inside for safety reasons for emergencies on the top floors. And so the larger elevator, which also requires a larger machine room, is one of the impacts of the size of this need, that we can't just put a new elevator in the same shaft of the current existing elevator. Additionally, on the top floor, we have, just for specificity's sake, because I think it's helpful, on one side we have a costume shop and a rehearsal hall, and on the other side we have studios that are not connected to one another, so you actually, right now, would have to walk down 2 flights, walk across, and walk up 2 flights. And the reason we have an addition that wraps around the elevator is so that there can be a hallway to connect those spaces once you get off the elevator. That's why the massing has become larger than just an additional elevator shaft.
Great. So just to confirm, you couldn't expand like the existing one in your current footprint?
We could not. The building itself, as I mentioned, is on the National Historic Register, so it's very complicated to do anything with it, with the building overall. So we're trying to stick to the area where the current elevator is and just expand its height and its width to make sure that we can maintain that interconnectivity. There's no interior space that can hold an elevator of that size.
So on that topic, are your design plans already pre-approved by those historic entities?
We have just 2 weeks ago, a group of us were in front of the State Historic Preservation Office, and we received approval. Their concerns are specifically related to the exterior of the addition plans and how that looks with the exterior of the terracotta tile of the building. And we did get a vote of confidence from that group. We are not done. This matter will also have to go in front of the entire council, as you know, but also we need to go through reviews with the Downtown Design Review Commission, which has not been yet done. And we are also waiting some final reviews at the federal level because of the other regulations that the building is under.
Thank you. And my last question, just to kind of wrap in the conversation that folks have been having. So you guys intend to come back for abandonment of the road at some point?
I do not believe so. I want to acknowledge that Wendy Nielsen is here, the Commissioner of Parks Department, and any changes in designs of the street or the park itself would come from City Parks and not from Trinity Rep. We would not be making any design-related changes to the street or the park.
Thank you.
I don't know, Wendy, do you want to speak?
Yes. So now we want to have, please don't go away yet. We have Wendy Nielsen from Parks Department and Craig. If you please come up and make a little explanation about the new designs of the park, and before we jump on the other group. Thank you. Yes, please say your name and your address for the record.
So there are a few things. Can you hear me okay?
Please use the microphone.
Okay, thanks. There are a few things I just wanted to clarify and add about the proposal. Right now, we're talking about a conceptual design that we've been working out to try to accommodate both the skateboarders' dreams and vision for this place, as well as Trinity Rep's adjusted parameters based on when this project first started in 2017. Understanding that they have tried every which way to limit the space that goes into the alleyway. I want to note that the additional that the skate park is not being reduced. It is being added onto by about 1,300 square feet. And the red triangle that is about 180 square feet that was not included in our last iteration was then, after we met in July, was added back in for an additional 1,800 square feet. So essentially what they have now will be as it was with the expansion of about 1,300 square feet. The area that is really important to note here is that the common and mixed-use space, which is going to be a walkway, a lit walkway with archway and seating and other features along the way to really welcome traffic throughout downtown and make this a really, really multi-user space, is about 4,400 square feet, about 4,600 square feet. And I do want to note, too, that one of these, the budget that we have for the skate park features alone for this is about $375,000. And as part of the negotiations on this, Trinity also agreed to allow the skateboarders to use the restroom, so we wouldn't have to add additional facilities there, which would be really, really cost prohibitive. But it was one of the things that they really wanted. So that is essentially the proposal that is in draft concept. We're happy to continue working with the skateboarders on what that space and that additional 1,300 square feet would look like, as well as the open space area.
Any questions for Wendy? Yes, Councilwoman Helen.
Thank you for allowing me to participate. I guess my only question is, so is a vehicle allowed to go still down the street? Or?
There's an area where the vehicles can go for accessing the dumpster, and that's about it. Katie, you might be able to talk. That's more on your side of things.
On the Fountain Street side, there is access just for dumpsters or for emergency vehicles, should there need to be an emergency vehicle that gets in. But there is not throughway. We have not proposed throughway access to the street.
May I just follow up? Is there a throughway right now? I can't quite remember.
There is, and it's incredibly problematic. We actually sought an abandonment I think it was in 2017, 2018, to close the road to traffic as a proof of concept when we were talking about the expansion of Trinity Skate Park in particular. To that end, we have put up bollards several times, steel bollards that have been driven through, you name it. Essentially, a lot of that area now is being used as parking spaces and not legitimate parking spaces.
Any other question from the committee members? Yes, Councilman Sanchez.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you so much, Wendy. I just want to state that this whole process as a city councilor has been extremely frustrating. This dialogue between Trinity Rep and the skateboard folks. Because it's really confusing to see what the separation between parks and city plans, goals, and Trinity Reps. I think this presentation has offered a little bit more clarity in the sense of okay, Trinity Rep wants to go to the sidewalk, and then everything else after that is kind of up to Parks Design Team. Is that correct?
Correct.
Because I feel like a couple months ago when we were in finance, Trinity Rep was presenting, I don't want to misspeak, it might have been you, Wendy, it was a couple of months ago at this point, was presenting ideas, plans that included the road. Does that sound correct, Chairwoman?
That was my understanding.
So I guess what is Parks' opinion or takes? Okay, we do the abandonment up until the sidewalk for Trinity Rep, because that's not a concern that I've heard from folks in the skateboard community. And then Parks works with the skateboard community, other surrounding businesses to do what is best for the road and the skate park.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, all this blue space that you see is the mixed-use open space. And what our landscape architects have done is drafted a walkway through there with seating and other amenities and plantings and stormwater mitigation and what have you, so that it could be this mixed-use space. And again, the Trinity space is being expanded and all of the equipment. I think there was initially there was one of the concepts for Trinity, and why they were showing this is because the utilities and other things were located in the skate park, or were going to be located in the skate park, which would have had a dramatic impact on it. So Parks worked really closely with their architects to redesign those features so that they could be moved out of that area and into another location and be put at grade so they wouldn't impact the skate park. So my understanding from this is that if any work is being done on the utilities that would impact the skate park, it could be put back exactly as it is, or we could use that as an opportunity to grow out and really develop this and add the other, the additional square footage to this and any other wishes, hopes, and dreams they have for this area.
Right, yeah, I guess that's where we really need to focus, is those like extra amenities, like who are they serving? Is that something that would impact the folks that use the skate park in that broader community? Because I think I have a little bit more clarity on the different moving pieces on this alleyway, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You want to show that to the public? And the way that the park, the design is, they're working on it, and so
Just
question for you, Wendy. So the skating park is gaining property. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and in total from the original, from the last iteration, well, in total it's about 1,500 square feet, including the red triangle that is shown here and the yellow space. The red triangle is part of the skate park now, but one iteration showed that wasn't there, so that's not really a gain, but it's so probably a net of about 1,300 square feet.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Peterson.
Thank you. Commissioner, this question is actually for you. I just wanted to know how much engagement, or if there has been, with the Friends of the skate park to engage in what their vision is as well.
Yeah, I think we've been working to try to get that. We've been working with the, first of all, we're incredibly grateful to the skate park community. I mean, we've dramatically changed the landscape of what you can do for recreation and gathering in the city of Providence because of many of the people who are here in the gallery. This year alone, we doubled the space at Nutaconkinut Skate Park. We are, in a couple weeks, we're going to be opening up Mooney Adventure Park, which has 2 major skate features, and another area that is also skatable and a sort of a pavilion there. So it's been incredibly important. And the last meeting that we had in July, we looked at these plans again, said, help us out here, help us figure out how we can use that space. But I think that there's been some real concerns about losing space, some misinformation, some other things kind of factored into here that we just haven't been able to get back to the table to say how we can envision that space. We at Parks are not skateboard experts, but we are happy to work with folks who are, and those are the folks who are in this room. I think it's just really important that, we look at this at this area as a given, and then we work with that, because the area really does need a walkway through it so that we can have access across, and also, from one side of one street to the other, and also to make this just a really inviting multi-use space for people of all ages and abilities. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other question for the committee members? There's none. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just one housekeeping issue then. So we discussed the revised plans with that 1 square foot. I know you indicate you're not going to be making decisions on any matters tonight, but we'll get copies of those, sufficient copies, so they'll be in the packet for everybody. Get those to the clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have Justin Rusilo?
Oh, thank you.
Justin?
Thank you.
Yeah. Please say your name and your address, please.
I didn't hear the second part, I'm sorry.
Your name and your address.
My name is Justin Russillo, 19 Tidd Street, Providence, Rhode Island.
Proceed, please.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. These current plans were from a couple of days ago, so I'm a little thrown off. I also would like to see the plans better in color, which I can take up with Parks. I'd like to start with saying that it's, even the way it's laid out, we're not in opposition of the theater. We are not the theater's enemy or any of those things. I've grown up in this city. I had an article published in 1997 when I was arrested for skateboarding, and I had to go to jail, and the way that we've been continuously mistreated and almost discriminated against for a very long time at this point. And we've had former council people that I've had conversations with, and I expressed that we are the people that grow up to become your city's professionals, your city's taxpayers, your voters, and I just want to make sure that this is a level playing ground for everybody here. For instance, there's a lot of things that haven't been taken into consideration, like if we do have a walkway through a skate park and somebody who is a pedestrian collides with me, that I will not face any criminal charges as a father, as a business owner, and things of those nature. We're not fighting with the theater because we don't enjoy everything that the arts have to offer to the creative capital. It's just that we want our own space. And there's been plenty of examples of other communities over the years that had to hide themselves, and now we are moving into the future progressively, and it's time that we get our little cut that we've had. We're not asking for anything crazy. We're not asking, we're not asking our shareholders to move an entire building for you or anything like that. People want to skateboard, and these people become something when they get older, and we become pillars in our community. And for some people, that place becomes an oasis and an escape. You don't know what people have going on at home, and it saves people from their own mental health, and we've seen it a ton. And this entire community can speak to levels beyond this room. We have 500 names on a petition, and we do this all for free. I'm supposed to be at my son's open house at school right now. I'm late, And that's all it is. It's nothing other than that. There's no malice on our behalf. We would just like to change the dynamic and the outlook on our community in perpetuity. And we're not opposition. We are the friends of Adrian Hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosal Diaz Diaz. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your names. Please say your name and your address, please.
Rosalind Vos Diaz, 893 Main Street, EG, RI. I'm here tonight to voice my support for Adrian Hallway Skate Park as a valuable public space where ordinary folks can spend time outdoors in their own city without needing to participate in consumer culture. As a Rhode Islander who lived in Providence for 22 years, I've thought frequently about what community looks and feels like to me. Community is not just the sad community room in a mill building repurposed into apartments or condos. It doesn't just take place inside places like Waterfire Arts Center or Capriccios. Community isn't backroom real estate deals or special interests elbowing aside the folks who live and work in Providence. Very often, community is what happens right in front of us, on the street, in green spaces, pocket parks, and cultural treasures like the Trinity Skate Park. We may not always see it. We may see punk kids, or we may write folks off and other them, as we all too often do at this moment in history. The real love and connection and community that is nourished every day in places like Trinity Skate Park may be invisible to us simply because a skate park might not seem valuable to us, like an important part of the culture that makes Providence glow with life and with vibrancy. The truth is, we need places like Trinity Skate Park, a place one can go, be in their own body, with their friends, peers, community, talk or not not have to buy or sell anything, not have to fake it. I believe that is a treasure worth preserving. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Isaías Narvaez. Please say your name and your address.
Yes, thank you. My name is Isaiah Navarez, or Narvaez. I live on 11 Santiago Street, Providence, Rhode Island, 02907. I'm coming as a opponent of this abandonment. I'm a part of Adrian Hall. I've been a volunteer with Adrian Hall for over 9 years. I've been a skateboarder for 15 years. I currently work as a structural engineer in the city of Providence, and have been a lifelong resident of Providence. One of the main reasons why I oppose this abandonment, you're going to hear a number of reasons from others that are going to speak, is a purely practical reason that we believe that the proposed space that is shown in the plans isn't for the greatest benefit of everyone that would use it, not just the skateboarders, but people using it to walk. Another reason that we oppose it is if you look at the plans, what I've heard today is that it doesn't go beyond the sidewalk, but if you see the footprint of the building, it clearly goes beyond the sidewalk, and measuring it, it goes several feet beyond the sidewalk. The easement that's proposed that's supposed to be used for the public, it will only really be used for entrance into the building and as attachment to the building. Back in 2017, we did have discussions with a different group from Trinity Rep where a building of 1,100 square feet was proposed as this would work with their needs. And today, that is 2,800 square feet, which is almost 2.5 times bigger than what they said they originally needed. And so from a purely engineering perspective, we haven't been given a reason why the building needs to be this big. We do believe the building size affects the way that the space is going to be used permanently. And the plans that are shown, if these plans are accepted, it's a little disappointing to see that some of the things that we talked about haven't been changed on the plans that are shown here. And the plans show a date that have been revised as recently as 3 days ago. And so for those reasons and for others, I oppose the abandonment of this road until we have further discussions about what the space could be and hear reasons for why the building needs to be this big from engineering perspective, or just some explanation for it. Thank you.
We have a question. Hold on. Yes, Councilman.
Yes, it says. That schematic there, that revised plan, does that go beyond the sidewalk, the way you read it?
It's always gone beyond the sidewalk, the size of that building. If I would like, if someone wants to say that it doesn't, I would like to, that building is bigger than 6 feet for a normal size sidewalk. So it wouldn't just be the abandonment of the sidewalk, it's for space that includes the street as it currently is laid out. The plans, the revision that was made may have been a minor revision. I'm not saying that we haven't seen this, but the fact that it's stated here that it was revised 3 days ago is a little concerning to that this revision didn't include some of the things that we talked about that should have been shown on that submission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on. When did you like to explain that?
Yeah, so I think the only revision that was made that I'm aware of that was material to this was moving the manhole cover from what was originally proposed in Adrian Hall Way so that it was out of the skate park skate area and was done flush to the ground. I think that was, and the only other thing that is shown on there that I'm aware of from the park side of it is that the triangle that you all said you wanted back in was put back in after we met. And I believe we've tried to get many meetings together since then so we can talk about exactly what you want in that space. Because we are so happy to work with you on that and don't want to presume by any means that that's a best and final project here. It's just to really showcase that given the parameters and the limits of what can happen with Trinity, these are other things that can happen in that space. So we remain open and always to working with you to figure that out. It wouldn't be Adrian Hall Way without your input into it. We just, now there's a given that we have to work around. And I think that's where we really need you to help us get creative about how that space is used in that public area. And I think that when we had the meeting downtown, there were some really great ideas talked around. And then the table closed, so to speak. Yeah. So Isaiah, I think you know this. We are always open to working with you on that.
Yeah, I do want to acknowledge that Wendy has been a huge support over the years, a cornerstone of us being able to do any of this. So I come as a rep of Friends of Adrian Hall, and the reason why it exists the way that it does now is because of the Parks Department's work with Wendy and Brian. But we're all for reimagining the space that's shown there, but a big issue with the available space is the size of the building itself. And that's something that we didn't have a chance to discuss because we were discussing other things at the last time we met in July. But the building size, it doesn't really reflect on the plans the size of this building, of what's being shown. And parts of the building have columns that show an underneath area where I'm guessing access points will be for the theater. But we haven't really heard an explanation for why it needs to be this big. What reason does it need to be this big, and why didn't the first one satisfy the reasons that they needed? I understand the access to wanting to get to different parts of the building, but this footprint is, we haven't seen any alternatives why a different footprint, a smaller footprint, wouldn't also work. Why does it need to be this size, well beyond the sidewalk? And a part of that would be more space for the things that we are imagining. If the building doesn't need to be this size, we would all benefit from having more space to use for other things. But as it looks right now, we're kind of limited, and once this is set in stone that this is abandoned for the purpose of this building expansion, we have no choice but to accept the space as it looks now and whatever we could do with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Walham Drivers.
Hello?
Please say your name and your address, please.
Wolfgang Brevis, 135 Grove Street, Federal Hill. As a lifelong skateboarder, educator, and more recently, real estate developer, I've had the opportunity to experience and interact with a diverse set of communities across our great city. From the lecture halls of Brown University, where I teach, to the very skate park that we are deliberating on today, I've seen much of what Providence has to offer. Though I was born in Boston, I chose to settle in this city, in part due to the intermingling of the academic, artistic, and professional centers that we are all a part of. The expansion of Trinity Theater, in particular the most recent proposition, made without the input of an essential party, Friends of Adrian Hall, is outrageous and unjust. The small plot that the skating area is on is the only designated area in the city proper where the skateboarders are free to practice their craft. Though it is true that the theater is one of the jewels of our city, with a world-famous reputation, It did not gain such a reputation by leveraging its connections and wealth against those who are most vulnerable. To those who are voting on this issue today, I implore you to reject the current proposed modification to Adrian Hall Way until the skateboarders are given an equal voice, not only for said skaters who call it home, but for people like me, who Providence is the place that we love, because it is one of the few remaining cities where world-famous theaters and grassroots skate areas can coexist. Thank you.
Thank you. Edward, Equit, Edward, Equit. Please say your name, your address.
Good evening. My name is Eddie Iqueo. I'm at 100 Morgan Street, Cranston, Rhode Island. I'll start by saying that I oppose the Trinity expansion. Let's see. It seems like we've had, a great place to skate in the city since 2018, 2017, and we weren't done yet. We were planning on expanding. And I think any other expansion into that space that we allocated for the expansion greatly reduces any hopes and dreams, as the nice lady to my left said before. So in that sense, we are limited in what we have to expand and what our dreams could be. Secondly, I'll start by stating that my wife is in theater and dance, and I respect all that, and I get that they're a flourishing place for the arts and so on. But there's also an aspect of skateboarding that a lot of people on the top level of, I guess, government politics don't really see, and that's that this one sort of wooden toy with wheels can, change someone's life, make them learn how to fall, fail, succeed, get up, do it again. And that goes a long way, and I don't think I'd be standing here today if it wasn't for skateboarding. It taught me how to fail and then get up and learn from that. Brought me to a video career and so on. And so I think it doesn't take much for some little kid to walk across a sidewalk and see that place and what happens there and be inspired to do the same and get into it. It's accessible, it's in the city, really anybody can do it. And then I think that's really it. I also, to Justin, the first gentleman who spoke, he spoke about, ergonomics in a walkway and, any type of walkway through a skate park, and maybe that's not exactly what's reflected on the plans. Yeah, it definitely opens up some jeopardy of pedestrians in general, I think. If you've spent maybe 15 minutes at a busy skate park, you might have a board fly at you, or somebody actually might run into you, and so, yeah, that opens up sort of an aspect of danger, and I think ergonomics and those types of logistics should be greatly considered when there's, I guess, a large amount of kinetic energy and people moving around on skateboards. So, and I'd like to also state that it's not just skateboards, it's bikes, it's rollerblades, we're not just, it is a skate park, but it's not just limited to skateboarding. So, and a lot of the people you're gonna see today are, in fact, skateboarders, but yeah, it goes beyond that. And I mean, when you include a bike into that scenario, a bike would request more space. And so I think, to reiterate, when you take away from any future expansion and hopes and dreams, then that's very limiting to the already extremely small space we've been blessed with. And I think I'll end there.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you. Mira Hola.
Hello. Mira Haddad. I live in 46 Bainbridge Avenue. Hi, I'm Mira Haddad. I've been a skater for 16 years, a skateboard instructor, an artist, an architect, and a mentor. Trinity is an important place for me because it's where I first felt a part of a community. I created a purpose here when I moved by creating new skateboard programs for the Providence youth. This is my 6th year teaching skateboarding, and skate parks are environments where we challenge ourselves to grow, change, while we make new friends along the way. Sharing the alleyway with our neighbors is important to me because I believe we can design a way where there's more moments in the park that could be interactive for the viewers as well as the skaters. I oppose the abandonment of the street. I propose we review a new proposal that is collaborative with the Adrian Hallway. If the criteria has changed for the current proposal, the square footage has to be reviewed and revised. For this reason, I propose the current plan, but I appreciate the reiteration of the new design in the beginning of this meeting. I still believe it's possible for the alleyway to find a design that respects the needs of Trinity skate spot community and the theater's needs for improving the accessibility of the historical building. Thank you.
Thank you. Luke Franco. Luke Franco. Good evening. Please say your name and your address, please.
My name is Luke Franco. My address is 18 College Drive in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I've been a part of the skateboard community here for about 8 years. I'm a transplant from New Hampshire. Didn't know much about the skate scene when I moved here. So after I finished unpacking, getting settled into a new place, first thing I did, I went down to Trinity Skate Spot. As a newcomer, I was welcomed by the fellow skaters. So any sense of nervousness or anxiety I felt being in a new area was completely relieved. And the more I visited the skate park, the more I learned about the kind of inclusive environment that's there and the camaraderie amongst fellow skateboarders or park enjoyers. The Friends of Adrian Hall group has played a huge part in fostering such a community, throwing events and cleanups to bring people together and to keep the space clean, celebrating each other's progression, working together for the same reason because we all love skateboarding and using the park. This is a thriving space which has hosted a number of successful events like concerts or costume contests during Halloween, scavenger hunts, mural paintings, professional skateboard demos, or meetups before marching together for BLM. The skate park has always felt like the focal point or the meetup spot, and the energy at the skate park events to me is really special. A novice skateboarder doing their first ollie, or a professional executing a move that takes multiple breaths to explain are met with the same kind of excitement, which is really nice. In my opinion, the ability to host such big gatherings or contests or other celebrations isn't really possible under the new proposal, and for those reasons, I oppose the current plan. Thank you.
Thank you. David Morris. David Morris.
Good evening. My name is David Morris. I live at 669 Elmwood Avenue. I oppose wholeheartedly the expansion into Adrian Hall. I run a nonprofit for kids. I'm here representing the youth of our city. What we do is get kids into a specific sport to get them off the street, distract them from the things around them that are happening that are bad. Too many of our city council people, other members of our government have been to funerals for our young people in this city because they got caught up in the wrong thing. These young people have decided that they're going to use a space in the city for something good. We sit around and we say, oh, why don't they do that? Why do they put their energy into stealing things, into breaking things, into, violence, things like that? Finally, there's something that's there and it's being encroached upon. Now, I understand, I'm not a city planner. I don't know about square footage and any of that stuff. But I do know that when I see people walking through downtown, they stop at Adrian Hall, whether they're skateboarders or not. Mothers, fathers, kids who had never thought about doing it. I skateboarded for a long time. That area used to be a bus stop, a place where litter would gather up. Nothing was being done with that space until these guys came and made the proposal. And it was accepted, and now it's thriving. I don't know much about Trinity Rep, but I don't know how many free programs they have for the youth of our city. How often are they reaching out to the kids of our city, getting them in there for no cost? Friends of Adrian Hall get them in there for no cost. Teach them something that they never would have done before. Might get some scrapes and bruises, but safe overall. Yeah, I'm a huge opponent to this after seeing so many of our green spaces in the city disappearing, being turned into condos, just less and less space for the youth to be the youth. And this is one of those spaces. So let's not mess with it. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great night.
Thank you. Robert Dash. Robert Dash.
Good evening.
Please say your name, your address, please. Thank you.
My name is Robert Dash. I live at 169 Canal Street. So my opposition currently, after hearing everybody's testimony, to the park still remains the same. There's a certain area that creates quite a bit of shade, and darkness. And throughout the night and even throughout the day, it's hard enough to keep that place safe and just clean in general. And to have a place where people can hide or just remove themselves from the public doesn't help. So that's my main focus with just the establishment and what they've created so far. That underground passage for parking, I believe, is definitely not safe unless you're gonna have it completely lit up throughout the night, 24/7, and also very well recorded throughout the night, 24/7. Other than that, it is a community that has been working very hard to build on that space, and to put a stamp on or a shade on any one of those dreams is more than just depressing. I myself came here after, I've been here 12 years after living in New York, leaving the music industry, coming here, and because of Rhode Island specifically, I created a television program that was broadcasted on Roku nationally throughout America, and that enabled me to even go back to the city and establish a home, fortress, and also move back here and chase that as a career. So I am indebted to Providence, to Rhode Island, to this state, to the creatives. With that being said, I think even if you want to continue building, because I am from New York, so Broadway is a huge side of what we do. I've seen Ren, I've seen Phantom of the Opera multiple times, Lion King, everything. I totally get it. But keeping that specific area safe and keeping that specific area, even if it's designated for skateboarding or to help integrate it, which seems to be a focus, more in its blueprint, even in its further expansion, I think would be not just a benefit to the state, but a benefit to the sport and the craft itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Sweeney.
Good evening.
Please say your name and your address, please.
Eric Sweeney, 35 Bissell Street. I've been a local skateboarder in the city of Providence, Rhode Island for 18 years. I've worked with Friends of Adrian Hall for a good number of years. We've been trying to get this space to be intact, and I understand that Trinity Rep is trying to expand, but to encroach on the current terrain would not enable us to do certain events, to curate events. I've curated events for, Trinity Rep, like in the skate park for multiple years, and I just think it would be a you know, terrible injustice for the skate park and for the skateboarders. And I just would like to see, you know, skateboard lessons being implemented in the skate park, and, you know, the expansion of the park to still be intact. So, thank you.
Thank you. Will Cornwall. Please say your name, your address.
Will Cornwall, 217 Armington Street, Edgewood, but I'm Smith Hill born and raised, to clarify. I would like to start by saying, I didn't expect to say this, that the petition for abandonment is absolutely larger than the sidewalk. I don't know why the theater keeps saying that. This is now the second time that they've appeared before City Council and unfaithfully described the scale of their proposal. Back in December, Chairwoman Anthony requested that the theater work with us in a collaborative fashion moving forward. And what happened was they scheduled 2 meetings during the workday, which obviously we could not attend, and then they canceled a 3rd meeting. In the meantime, they went ahead with the approval process, appearing before the CPC. A planning department report was commissioned, which failed to acknowledge the existence of our 9 years of volunteer labor in the space. In that report and in that process, we were pretty much erased from the record. This summer, we had a single meeting with Trinity Rep, and when it came to the issue of this abandonment, what we thought would be a collaborative process was a lecture in the form of a PowerPoint, detailing all the reasons why we're not important enough for them to make changes to this proposal. I do not want to speak for the Chairwoman Anthony, but I do not think that's what she had in mind when she requested they work collaboratively with our community. I think in stepping back and looking at the greater context that we all exist in this city, the Rhode Island Kids Count report just came out. Half the kids in this city are obese or overweight. A quarter live below the poverty line. Trinity's proposal is to put office space on top of land that was once promised to our community as an expansion of recreational area. Add the condition, the health and condition of the kids of this city on top of the state of our public schools. I think it is unconscionable to roll back promises to the young people of this city for expanded recreational areas that are for free. We remain committed to working with the theater in a good faith collaborative design process, but up until this point, despite their promises, it simply has not occurred. At some point, they need to take responsibility for this project. I want to acknowledge the extremely hard work of the Parks Department in all of this, and by saying that this situation has been most unfair to them. The proposal right now for abandonment is what dictates the space that's available for the Parks Department to work with. What we feel is the task given to the Parks Department is completely unrealistic. A space the size of a basketball court, smaller than a basketball court, is expected to host a skate park, pedestrian walkway, 500 people entering and leaving a theater, vehicle deliveries, and public events on a space smaller than a basketball court. At this point, in the current state of the proposal, it seems that the theater is unconcerned that their own patrons will be walking through the middle of a skate park. I think that we can make all these lines on a drawing, but at the end of the day, when you walk through this space as you experience it, there is no, we're asking people with canes and walkers and to share a space side by side with skateboarders going everywhere. We are opposed to this because, quite frankly, we think that our community deserves better, the patrons of the theater deserve better, and the entire city of Providence deserves better. I don't think that our request for a collaborative design process is at all an abstract request, because we have learned in working with the Parks Department for nearly a decade about what meaningful community engagement looks like and what the extremely exceptional results have been. Thank you.
Thank you. Calling 01. Please say your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Colin O'Connor. I live at 71 America Street. Trinity Skate Park has invariably changed my life and countless other people's life around me. I have met lifelong friends. I have made connections that have gotten me a job, gotten me through school, and given me hope in extremely desolate times. Skateboarding as an act is hardly what it is without a community. The hub of any skate community is its park. To the point of the Parks Department, the space is already an inviting multi-use space. All are welcome. I've seen all people welcomed. To the point of Trinity, we are losing space, even under its current proposal, which was released recently. We use every single square inch of Adrian Hallway because it is small, and so are we. To the council, I heard recently that they thought there was misinformation going around about Trinity Skate Park and the current proposal. I'd like to say that we have never spread misinformation. We've only spread the information we've received. There's been very limited communication through certain channels. Through many rounds of meetings, we worked diligently and collectively to reach a consensus agreement. I was not a part of this. I joined this cause, Friends of Adrian Hall, rather recently. As soon as I heard about the abandonment project, I felt stirred enough to join the organization because I wanted to see the change that they were pitching. Trinity went back on these talks, though. The 2019 consensus approval that was proposed was reneged, and because of it, a new proposal that has absolutely ballooned in size is casting a literal and metaphorical shadow over the futures of Providence's downtown skate park. It would cost millions to build, it would cause downtime and displacement to the park goers during the construction, and if the goal of the Trinity expansion is to achieve greater ADA compliance, it can be done in a more equitable way. We as skateboarders disagree with the proposal as it stands and want all neighbors of Adrian Hallway to be brought back into the conversation in good faith to reach a deal that makes everyone happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other person who would like to testify in this matter? Please come forward. Please say your name and your address.
My name's Lux Lucidi, and I am for the skate park and against the demolition that will happen, essentially. I wanted to make a comment more targeted towards Congresswoman or Councilwoman Anna Varga. You've appeared to be yawning and rolling your eyes for a lot of the people speaking that have been coming up here. Sorry?
Go ahead.
A lot of the people speaking and that are pro skate park, and you seem completely disinterested in everything that they have to say.
I really don't think that we're gonna address councilperson directly in such a manner. So
I just think that
well, if you could please, we allow you to speak. Could you please just speak on the matter here?
I just think that if you are the people we are talking to that are ultimately making a decision, that you need to be listening to what the skaters have to say.
Speak on the matter, please.
I am. How is this not speaking on the matter?
On the Adrian Hall matter. Are you
Say it-
for it?
say it again?
Are you against the Adrian Hall proposal
Yeah,
or
I'm
for
against
it?
the Adrian Hall proposal.
All right, well, thank you so much. No need to
Thank you.
address the council people. Thank you.
May I have the
So, no, it's all right. So there's no more matters than these. I want to close this.
Miss, may I, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Is it possible to ask a clarifying question of the proponent, Mr. Chair? There's one thing that was mentioned that I don't understand, and I think it might benefit all of us. I know that we're just talking about the abandonment tonight, but they've also mentioned an easement, and I don't know what the easement is for.
Yes, Councilwoman, the easement will come after we make the decision on this case. And it's a different project, but now we just listen to the community on the public hearing for later on to make a decision.
Okay,
And-
thank you.
Thank you. Yes, yes, okay.
Can I say something? Back to Councilwoman Chair Anthony's point. Is the easement going to come from Trinity or from the parks? I guess is that your question?
Yes, exactly. And if it is coming from Trinity, I just wonder what it is that they need through the easement once the abandonment happens. And I guess I was unclear as to what that was. Thank
Right.
you.
No, I mean I kind of have the same question too.
Okay, can you please answer the question? Come over.
Briefly, again, John McCoy again, the easement would come from the city.
And I'm sorry, and what for?
Ms. Lieberman can clarify, but really that easement portion, as shown on the plans, that's for the ramps and the ADA access. Katie, you want to elaborate on that?
I'm sorry, Katie, thank you.
No, it's all right. Hello again, Councilwoman. In one of the meetings we had with folks from Parks and folks, I believe, from Planning and from the city itself, we discussed the best geography of how to use Adrian Hall Way with the needs of Trinity Rep and the needs for access with a ramp and stairs. And so the area that would eventually come as a part of the easement is steps into the building as well as a ramp, but that would still be city property, as is the sidewalk and the steps into Trinity Rep, as is right now.
Which is why Councilwoman would have come from the city, since it's on the city property.
I appreciate that. I know exactly the delineation, and I appreciate that.
No
Thank you
problem.
very much.
Thank you. So there's no more, we got one more? Oh, sorry. So there's no more matter in this one. I will close this one. And Madam Clerk, can you please read number 5?
Number 5, petition from Scott Levesque Esquire, Kelly Souza, and Perimeter PC, 128 Darren Street, Suite 300, Providence 02903, requesting to abandon a portion of Woodside Road between Ridgewood Way Avenue and Ruby Avenue.
Okay. Do we have anybody representing this case? Please come forward. Ms. Scott Leversi. Sorry if I mispronounced your name.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the council. Thank you for hearing this evening. My name is Scott Levesque. I'm an attorney. I practice here in Providence, right at 128 Dorrance Street, Suite 300, with the law firm of Kelly, Souza, and Parmenter. First, let me start by saying thank you for calling it my petition, but I can't take the credit because I didn't do the hard work to buy the property, and my client, Joe DePina, did. You can see him right behind me here. This is Joe. It's his petition. He owns 7 of the 8 lot.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Mr. DePina is the owner of 7 of the 8 lots that abut this paper street Woodside Road that runs along the interior portion of those properties. The other lot, the only other lot that abuts that is a lot owned by Mr. Marsacci, which I'll get to that issue in a minute. But just so that you understand the situation, Woodside Road has never been developed in any state whatsoever. And in fact, prior to my client buying the property, a prior owner had erected a gazebo in the area of where this paper road is. And the only purpose for which this paper road could be used is to access my client's lots. The other lot that is not owned by him actually abuts Ruby Street, which fronts that lot, and it's an undeveloped lot owned by Mr. Marsacci. So this clearly fits the bill of a piece of a roadway that no longer is needed for the public use. So I just wanted to point out a few things. This went before the planning board and received a unanimous recommendation. There were conditions associated with that, which brings me to the point that one of them was that we work with Mr. Marsacci and try to resolve his potential interest. Members of the council may know when a road abandonment happens, those abutters have an interest, potential interest, in the piece of the roadway that runs and abuts their property to the halfway point of what the road would have been. I sent a certified letter to Mr. Marsacci after the planning board made that recommendation. He's here this evening. I spoke to him, and we're working together to resolve what interests he may have in that piece of the road that we're seeking. And we'll have that potentially resolved before we come before the full council. So I think that really addresses the highlights here. You know, we did submit some plans for a project which is merely concept at this point, and it is, you know, Mr. DePina's intent to ultimately provide some really needed housing in this area, but for now, it's really just here before you for dealing with the road abandonment first. So if the council has any questions, I'm certainly willing to answer any that you have.
Yes, we do. Councilman Sanchez.
Thank you. No comments or questions. Excuse me, just comments. I just want to apologize for not looking at the agenda all the way and talking to the chair beforehand to possibly move you guys. Thank you for sticking through. I've talked with. This is my word for the record. I've talked to Mr. DePina and his council before. This project is definitely in the preliminary stages, but the vision is very exciting to provide more housing. Mr. DePina has mentioned some levels of affordability as well in the future. So as the counselor of the neighborhood, I'm very looking forward to working with the property owner and his council and other folks to get this project up and running in the future, correct? This is, just for the record, this is on pretty much right off of Main Ave. So like this type of development is very desperately needed in the area. Right now it's just empty lots for the most part.
Question, does the lots that are on Woodside Road, on the other side, who owns those lots? We don't want to try to leave somebody landlocked.
So if you look at the map, Mr. Chair, that's page 3 of the submission items. It was Exhibit A to that. If you look on the top right, you'll see an exhibit sticker that says A. That itemizes the lots. And if you go to that page, Mr. DePina owns Lot 516, Lot 517, Lot 518, Lot 519, Lot 520, and Lot 521. And then on the other side, he owns Lot 494. Mr. Marsacci's property is Lot 720. So that's kind of the layout of the land. The gazebo, you can kind of see it in the gray area where that number 5 is. That's where the gazebo is currently sited.
And for the record, how many units are you planning to Who here?
So we don't have a solid number of units currently. You saw the concept plan in there. It's really a concept. There are a number of moving parts here, and one of the moving parts is the current zoning is being changed, and that will impact what we can do. So I can't give you a definitive number right now, but obviously we're going to try to provide as much housing as we can. And I hope that answers your question adequately.
Yeah, just to add on that, so this is all currently zoned single family. So as folks are aware, I'm changing this to multifamily zoning, but I'm still gonna try to champion the different variances that we're gonna need on top of that to get development of this size up and going.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee members? None?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the council. Mr. Chair, if I can, I didn't want to put words in Mr. Marsacci's mouth. He is here, and I know he signed the sheet. I didn't
Sure.
want to speak for him.
He like to speak?
Hello.
Hello,
The
sir.
only concern I have
You, please say your name and your address for the record.
Michael Marsacci, 240 George Waterman Road, Johnston, Rhode Island. The only concern I have, I believe the attorney made it clear to the board that it's the only part of the road that abuts my property on that abandonment. We're going to discuss on what we're going to do with that piece of property. As far as the abandonment, I don't have no objection to it. It's an the way it's situated right now, it's a road that should probably never get developed. But to build something on it, which would benefit the neighbor and myself, I can't see nothing wrong with that. But from what I understand from the attorney, he said there's another step beyond your board. It has to go before the council, I believe. Is that correct? Is that
Guys,
right?
It all depends the plans that they have after we make a decision on this
All right.
matter.
All right.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So there's no more matters, no more items. Can I have a motion to, no. A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
No. No motion? Oh, we close, sorry. No motion, we is closing the public hearing meeting. Thank you everyone for being here today and have a great night.